I know basically what I've read and what I've been informed on. Naturally, I'm very eager.
On July 13, 1972, Robert Irsay took control of the Baltimore Colts in one of the most historical transactions in sports history. Determined to make his venture a long-term success, Irsay hired the dynamic Joe Thomas as general manager. Joe Thomas had designed and built two champions, the Vikings and the Dolphins, and he will try to make it 3 for 3 as the brains behind the new Baltimore Colts. In the process of rebuilding, the 1972 Colts suffered through one of the darkest hours in their history. From the outset, they were devastated by injuries like the one that kept Bubba out for the season. Despite injuries, despite an experimenting changing lineup, Baltimore's Memorial Stadium was the scene of many an exciting Sunday afternoon in 1972. There was that afternoon in September when two masters met and painted a canvas unlike any seen before. That incredible September the 24th, when the student in white faced his venerable professor in black in an aerial circus that will never be forgotten. Number 19 was superb. His 26 completions were a career record. His 376 yards passing were the fourth highest in his career and added to his NFL record of 27 games in which he has surpassed 300 yards in the air. Unitas passing, coupled with a scintillating touchdown by Don McCauley, produced 34 points, the most the Colts have ever scored in defeat. For the problem on this day was that the student had learned well and far surpassed his teacher. This was the day Joe Willie Namath abused the record books. 6 touchdowns, 496 yards. He and Unitas combined for 872 yards, the best in NFL history, and Joe Namath left with a 44-34 victory in a game never to be forgotten. The next time the two teams met, there were new faces, but the same old excitement. John Sandusky debuted as coach, and Marty Domrase premiered as a starter. The game began as a replay of that September the 24th monument, with the Jets jumping out to an early lead. But the Colts hung in there. David Lee's exceptional punting kept New York deep in its own territory and allowed Domrase to chip away at the lead. Domrase performed masterfully in his debut, and he and Jim O'Brien led a comeback that overtook the Jets 20-17 with a minute left. Then the Colts were stung on a desperation heave that took a New York bounce, and the game appeared to be over. Time time for one play, and hoping for Lady Luck to accommodate him as she had Namath, Domrey sent up a prayer. Incredibly, it was caught by John Mosier, but died on the 2-yard line. So close, yet so far. And for the young Colts, a 24-20 defeat. The 24-20 defeat at Shea marked the beginning of a series of games that could have gone either way. In San Francisco, the 49ers jumped to a big halftime lead by running right through the Colts. Their only score, a fluke kickoff return touchdown from Bulash to Nelson Muncie. In the second half, however, Domrey's rallied the Colts with a pinpoint passing display to number 17, Sam Havrillak. Havrillak caught 6 passes for the year's best performance by a Colt receiver and rallied his team to within 3. Domrey's drove the Colts toward the winning score, but Havrillak was ruled out of bounds on the 12, and the game was over. A week later against the Bengals came another case of last-minute excitement. In a battle of number 14s, Ken Anderson put the Bengals in the lead. But the Colts came back in the arm of Domrey's and the legs of Lydell Mitchell, who scored a touchdown on his first NFL rushing attempt. With minutes left, the Bengals took a 19-17 lead on a sneak, but Ted Hendricks blocked the extra point and gave the Colts a chance to win on their final drive. In his own hometown, Jim O'Brien came through for the Colts as time ran out. Though victories were few, the Colts came up with their usual supply of shutouts. Against New England in November, the Colts' defense was superb, batting the ball around their secondary and battering Jim Plunkett all over Memorial Stadium. Led by Roy Hilton and Jim Bailey, Plunkett was sacked 3 times and had an equal number intercepted. Domrey's, meanwhile, went to 127 straight unintercepted passes and threw 3 scores as Baltimore won 31-0. 17-0 was the other shutout over Buffalo earlier in the year, extending the Colts' streak to 14 shutout quarters over the Bills. In their second game against Buffalo, the Colts made it 18 quarters minus 1 play of shutout defense. The Bills scored on the last play of the game. Till that time, the Colts defense was invincible, while John Unitas bowed out with his final touchdown in blue and white, a pass which Eddie Hinton took 67 yards to a touchdown. But it was fitting that this game really belonged to the young Colts, the Colts of the future. Number 23, Don McCauley, scored twice, fighting off a blindside shot on one reception. Lydell Mitchell also scored, and by now had established himself as a real threat. And Marty Domrez was Offensive Player of the Week, throwing for 3 and running for 1, giving a preview of what to expect from the young Colts in '73. The young, the new, the bold. This is what Baltimore fans will see as its heart and soul next season. Great young stars like number 40 Bruce Laird, the NFL's #1 kick return specialist, who will also start in the defensive backfield. Young linemen like Richard Amon and Jim Bailey, number 79, will man the trenches. Young defenders like Rex Kern, Jack Mildren, Lonnie Hepburn, Charlie Stoops, and the experience of youthful Rick Volk will grace the Colts secondary. Men who are quick and deadly, who with proper pressure up front will make the breaks that win games. Colt linebackers are all young, tough, and wise. From Ray May, the canny 27-year-old philanthropist, to the intimidator, number 32, Mike Curtis, one of the most physical of all young players who hasn't yet reached his ultimate level. To number 83, Ted Hendricks, perhaps the best young defenseman in football, who has made a 4-year career seem like forever to his opponents. An all-pro destroyer who still has his best years ahead. Number 83, the Mad Stork. On offense, the Colts' future is even younger and even brighter. The M&M twins, Mitchell and McCauley, will be back to continue their versatile performances. Lydell Mitchell will emerge from the obscurity of being the other half of that backfield from Penn State, while Don McCauley enters his third year with a 700-yard performance behind him, the Colts' best in 72. Add the diminutive Don Nottingham to the M&M duet, and the nucleus of an excellent running attack is born. And there will be a young, quick, offensive line to pave their way. Tom Drugas, Tom Regner, Dennis Nelson, Corny Johnson, with Fred Hoagland at center and the Colts all-pro left guard number 62, Glenn Ressler, to anchor this youthful group. The Colt receivers are young and hopeful too. Number 35, Glenn Dowdy. Number 17, Sam Haverlack, equally adept at the end around as well as gliding through defenders with a reception. Tight end Tom Mitchell, Haverlack's Bucknell brother and the Colts' leading receiver in 1972, a man who, like Hendricks, seems to have been around for a decade, though he's only in his 6th year. The man who will try to put together this puzzle is young Marty Domrays. Domrays gives the Colts a new dimension as a quarterback who can run. A strong and courageous athlete who is cast in the mold of the contemporary quarterbacks, such as Greg Landry, Bobby Douglas, and Bob Greasy. He can run, and he can pass, throwing from the textbook, throwing from a dead run, throwing off balance. Marty Domrays has all the tools, and with the support, leads the Colts into a future that seems to be bright indeed. Entering Memorial Stadium next year will be a new experience, for Joe Thomas has consolidated his troops under the aegis of a new and talented head coach, former Miami Dolphin Howard Schnellenberger. Schnellenberger brings the spirit and sagacity of a Super Bowl champion to Baltimore, and with him will come a superior Colts draft from college. Number 44, Bill Olds, comes from Nebraska, hopeful of starting in the Colts backfield. Number 57, All-American linebacker Jamie Rotella comes from Tennessee, along with Joe Ehrman from Syracuse and Mike Barnes from Miami to beef up the defense. finally, Burt Jones comes from LSU to battle Domrey's for the right to lead the Colts offense. Burt Jones, everybody's All-American quarterback, a talented 21-year-old who can do it all. Burt Jones, Lydell Mitchell, Marty Domrey's, Bubba Smith, all of the Colts have inherited a legacy that presents a formidable challenge, a challenge they will try to meet as a new era in Baltimore begins.